Everyone wants to know how to get rich, but very few people realize that the fastest way to build wealth is not by selling to everyone, but by selling to rich people. Wealthy individuals think differently, buy differently, and invest differently. And if you learn how to serve them, you'll unlock opportunities most people will never see. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how to get rich by selling to rich people. Rich people don't buy based on price. They buy based on value, exclusivity, and results. And that mindset shift is where everything begins when it comes to selling to them. For the majority of people, buying decisions are centered on cost. They compare prices, they seek discounts, and they look for ways to minimize spending. But wealthy individuals live in a different reality where money isn't scarce, time and outcomes are. When you approach selling with the same mindset you would use for the average consumer, you miss the essence of what motivates the affluent to purchase. For them, the purchase is less about affordability and more about alignment with identity, lifestyle, and the emotional reward that comes with owning or experiencing something unique. A wealthy person doesn't buy an expensive car simply for transportation. They buy it because it reflects who they are, because it represents achievement, because it delivers a feeling of exclusivity that most people cannot attain, and because it delivers the kind of performance and status that validates their place in society. This is why, if you are trying to serve affluent clients, you must learn to present your product or service not as a commodity, but as an elevated experience that carries significance beyond its physical form. When you focus only on features and pricing, you'll be lumped in with everyone else. But when you emphasize value, when you showcase how your offer solves deep frustrations, creates unforgettable experiences, or elevates their life in a way nothing else can, you step into the category of irresistible. Rich people don't think twice about paying for private jet charters because what they are really buying is not a flight, it's privacy, control over their schedule, comfort, and a stress-free experience that money can buy. That is the real value, and that is why they don't question the cost. Exclusivity is another force that drives their purchasing habits. The wealthy have access to nearly everything, so what captures their attention is not abundance but rarity. If everyone can buy what you're selling, why should they? The scarcity of an opportunity, the uniqueness of a design, or the limited access to your expertise makes your offer stand out in a marketplace full of sameness. That's why high-end brands limit editions, release items in small batches, or create wait lists. It's not because they can't produce more, but because they know the psychology of their audience. Rich people are magnetized to what is hard to obtain because it reinforces the idea that they are special, different, and above the masses. If you can create exclusivity around your product or service, you no longer compete on price. You control the narrative of value. Results are equally critical. For the wealthy, money is not the object. Outcomes are. A business owner making 7 figures doesn't mind paying a consultant a $100 earned if that consultant can generate millions in additional revenue. A celebrity doesn't hesitate to pay a top trainer because the results translate into confidence, brand image, and career longevity. It's not about what the service costs. It's about what it delivers. When selling to rich people, your responsibility is to articulate clearly the outcome they can expect and why no one else can provide it in the same way. That's where trust, authority, and proof come into play. The more you can demonstrate measurable results, the less resistance you'll face, because affluent clients don't need convincing about affordability. They need convincing about effectiveness. Shifting into this mindset as a seller changes how you design your offer, how you communicate, and how you position yourself in the marketplace. Instead of asking, how can I make this more affordable? You ask, how can I make this more valuable? Instead of trying to appeal to everyone, you deliberately target those who have the means and the desire to buy the best. When you operate from this place, selling no longer feels like pushing. It feels like aligning the right solution with the right person at the right time. And in the world of wealthy buyers, that is the only way to thrive. Do you want me to expand each keynote like this one in the same 600-word storytelling motivational style for the rest, so your script flows like a full speech? If you want to sell to rich people, you must look, feel, and act exclusive, because wealthy buyers are drawn to things that stand apart from the ordinary. They are constantly surrounded by offers, products and opportunities, but what truly captures their attention is what very few people can access. Exclusivity is not about simply raising prices, although that plays a role. It's about creating an environment where your product, service, or personal brand feels like something rare, prestigious, and worth aspiring to. When everyone can access the same thing, it loses power in the eyes of the affluent. They don't want to own what millions of others have. They want something scarce, something that signals they are in a different category from everyone else. That's why luxury brands never discount, why they design showrooms that feel like art galleries, and why they focus on experiences rather than transactions. The buying process itself becomes part of the exclusivity, and for the rich, that is as important as the product itself. When you position yourself as premium, you shift the conversation from price to perception. The way you present your brand, the language you use, the packaging, the quality of your materials, and the environment you create all work together to build the feeling that what you're offering is special. Rich people are not only buying the product, they are buying the story that surrounds it. They want to feel as if they are joining an elite circle, gaining access to something others can't touch. The more carefully you construct this perception, the more magnetic you become to affluent clients. Even in service-based businesses, exclusivity matters. A high-end consultant who only takes on 5 clients per year is more desirable than one who works with anyone who pays. A private chef who works only by referral becomes far more sought after than one who advertises everywhere. The fewer the slots, the higher the demand, and the stronger the perceived value. Another part of acting exclusive is confidence. Wealthy clients don't want to buy from someone who appears desperate for a sale, because desperation communicates lack of quality and lack of demand. Exclusivity is about calm certainty, about showing that your product or service is so valuable that you don't need to chase anyone. This is why premium brands rarely market in the same ways as mass market businesses. Instead of shouting, they whisper. Instead of being everywhere, they are in carefully chosen places. Instead of trying to appeal to everyone, they repel most people and attract only those who are ready to invest. That sense of selection makes the buyer feel chosen. And when someone who is wealthy feels like they have been selected to participate, it reinforces the idea that they are special, which deepens their desire to buy. Exclusivity also requires you to understand the psychology of aspiration. People with money still want to climb higher. They are motivated by the idea of being ahead, of gaining access to something before anyone else, of experiencing what others cannot. By positioning your brand as something that aligns with their aspirations, you tap into that natural drive. This is why private clubs have waiting lists, why certain events are invitation only, and why luxury brands release limited editions. It's not because they cannot produce more. It's because they know that scarcity and difficulty create desire. If you can build barriers to entry, not to exclude everyone, but to make entry meaningful, you raise the perceived value of what you offer. For the rich, the harder it is to get, the more it is worth to sell to wealthy individuals. You must build an aura around your product or service that communicates it is not for everyone. That doesn't mean being arrogant or dismissive, but it does mean standing firm in your value and carefully crafting the experience so that it feels rare and prestigious. When someone steps into your world, whether it's through your branding, your communication, or the environment you create, they should feel that they have entered into something elevated, something above average, something meant only for a select few. That experience is what draws in the affluent and keeps them engaged. Because at the heart of exclusivity lies identity, and the wealthy are always ready to invest in things that strengthen the identity they want to project to the world. Do you want me to continue expanding Keynote No. 3 in the same deep, motivational 600-word style right after this? Rich people don't buy products, they buy transformation. And that's the central truth you need to understand if you want to sell to them effectively. Most businesses and entrepreneurs make the mistake of talking endlessly about features, about what their product or service can do, about the list of benefits they think should matter. But wealthy clients don't care about the technical details unless those details connect directly to the outcome they desire. What they are really paying for is the shift your product or service creates in their life, whether that shift is in status, convenience, identity, or lifestyle. A luxury car is not just 4 wheels and an engine. It is a statement that communicates power, success, and achievement. A private island vacation is not just about sunshine and water. It is about freedom, privacy, and the feeling of being untouchable. The value is in the transformation, in the emotional and psychological impact. And that is what makes the affluent willing to spend when you position your product or service as transformational. You stop being seen as just another seller and instead become a gateway to an elevated version of your client's life. For example, a wealthy businessperson doesn't hire a personal trainer for the simple reason of exercising. They hire one because that trainer provides accountability, builds confidence, and shapes the image that the business person wants to present to the world. They don't purchase based on the hourly rate of the trainer. They purchase based on the transformation of how they will look and feel. This is why the same service can be offered at $5 by one provider and at $5 and by another. And the wealthy will choose the latter because they believe the transformation delivered will be faster, more reliable, and more impactful. Selling to the rich is about presenting your offer in terms of the before and after journey rather than the process in between. Another important dimension is emotional resonance. Transformation is not only about results, it is about feelings. Rich people are often looking for solutions that make them feel more powerful, more secure, more admired, or more at peace. If your offer delivers that emotional transformation, it becomes priceless in their eyes. A high-end interior designer, for example, is not just rearranging furniture. They are creating an environment that makes the client feel calm, sophisticated, and proud of their home. A luxury watch is not telling time. It is telling a story of legacy, achievement, and self-worth. The ability to attach your product or service to these deeper emotional layers is what makes it stand out in the eyes of affluent buyers who already have everything money can buy but still crave meaningful experiences. The transformation that appeals to the wealthy is often tied to identity. People with money want to reinforce or enhance the way they see themselves and how they are perceived by others. This is why status-driven purchases are so powerful. When a millionaire invests in a custom suit, it is not because they couldn't buy cheaper clothing. It is because the suit symbolizes authority, confidence, and distinction. The transformation is not in the fabric. It is in the way the person feels when wearing it and in the way others respond. If you want to sell to rich people, you must connect your offer to that shift in identity, to that moment when they feel elevated above the ordinary, when they feel that their choices affirm their uniqueness and success. Framing your product or service as transformational also requires you to use storytelling. Instead of explaining what you do, tell stories of how your offer has changed people's lives. Show the before, illustrate the struggle, and then highlight the after. This narrative makes the transformation tangible and desirable. Wealthy clients love to see themselves in those stories because it allows them to imagine what their life could be like with your solution. By emphasizing transformation, you take the focus away from cost and direct it toward possibility. Rich people are not afraid of spending money if the story they are buying into resonates with who they want to be. The reason selling transformation works so well with the affluent is that they are already saturated with things. They can buy any product at any time, but they don't want more things. They want experiences, emotions, identity shifts, and results that money alone cannot guarantee. If you offer them a way to look, feel, and live better in a way that is rare and compelling, you're not just selling a product, you're selling a new version of themselves. And that is the kind of offer wealthy clients will pay endlessly for. Would you like me to now expand Keynote? No point four in the same 600-word deep dive style so your full script builds smoothly. The rich have money, but what they often lack is time, privacy, and peace of mind. And that is exactly where the biggest opportunities lie for anyone who wants to sell to them. If you can solve a high value problem, one that removes stress, saves hours, or eliminates frustration from their lives, you immediately become indispensable. Time is the most valuable asset for the wealthy because it is the one thing they cannot buy back. They can always make more money, but they cannot create more time. So anything that helps them reclaim it is worth paying for. That is why personal assistants, concierge services, private chefs, and luxury travel planners thrive. It is not because these services are essential in the strictest sense, but because they give the wealthy back something priceless, the freedom to focus on what truly matters to them while someone else takes care of the details. Think of a high-level entrepreneur who is managing multiple companies and projects at once. For that person, spending 2 hours booking flights, scheduling meetings, or handling errands is a waste of their energy. They would rather pay someone else to do it flawlessly because those hours can be invested in decision making that moves their businesses forward or in personal experiences that enrich their lives. When you approach selling to rich people, you have to ask yourself, what problem do they face that drains their time or energy, and how can I eliminate that problem in a way no one else can? The bigger the problem and the cleaner your solution, the more they will value your offer. Regardless of cost, privacy is another area where wealthy individuals face unique challenges. When you are rich, you live in a world where everyone wants access to you, whether it's the media opportunists or people seeking favors. Protecting personal space, family life, and private experiences becomes an ongoing problem. That is why private security, gated communities, private clubs, and exclusive services are in constant demand. Selling to the affluent often means creating systems, products, or services that protect what they value most: the ability to live comfortably without constant intrusion. If your offer can shield them from unwanted attention or create an environment of security, you instantly become more valuable than someone selling a generic product. Wealthy people are willing to pay not just for convenience, but for peace of mind, and solving privacy-related problems is a powerful way to serve them. Efficiency is also a critical part of solving high-value problems. Rich people expect speed, precision, and reliability because their lives operate at a higher level of urgency. If a luxury client is promised a service at 2 p.m., it must be delivered at 2 p.m. with no excuses. If they need a solution, they expect it handled without delays or errors. The reason they are willing to pay more is because they are not buying the product alone. They are buying the assurance that it will be executed flawlessly and without them needing to manage it. This is why premium services emphasize white glove treatment, where every detail is handled to perfection and the client feels taken care of at every step. If you want to serve the wealthy, you have to train yourself and your team to operate at that level of excellence, because one mistake can break trust. But perfection, loyalty, high value problem solving also means anticipating needs before the client even expresses them. The affluent are used to being catered to, and the best brands or service providers stay a step ahead. They don't just respond to problems, they prevent them. A great example is a luxury travel service that doesn't just book a client's trip, but ensures every element of the experience is seamless, flights aligned with personal preferences, hotels prepared with the client's favorite amenities, and backup plans ready in case anything changes. This proactive approach makes the client feel understood and valued, and it cements the provider as irreplaceable. The rich are not impressed by basic solutions. They are impressed by foresight and the ability to deliver beyond expectations. Ultimately, solving high-value problems requires you to shift your thinking. Instead of offering what you think is valuable, you have to study the lives of the wealthy and discover where they experience friction. Where do they waste time? Where do they feel vulnerable? Where do they get frustrated? Then design your solution around removing that pain point entirely. The more specific and personalized your solution, the more powerful it becomes, because wealthy clients don't want one size fits all. They want something tailored to their unique lifestyle. When you become the person or the brand that eliminates these high value problems, you stop being a seller and start being a trusted partner in their success and well-being. And that is when they will pay you at the highest levels. Do you want me to go ahead and expand Keynote No. 0.5 in the same 600-word motivational style? Rich people do not buy from strangers. They buy from relationships. And that is why building trust must always come before making an offer. Too many people make the mistake of rushing into sales pitches, believing that if their product is good enough, it will sell itself. But the wealthy operate differently. They live in a world where they are constantly being pitched ideas, services, and investments. And because of that, their guard is always up. They are not interested in transactional relationships with people they don't know. They are interested in aligning with those they respect, those they feel a connection with, and those they believe will protect their interests. If you want to sell to the affluent, you have to understand that relationships are the currency and trust is the bridge that leads to any transaction. Trust building with wealthy clients requires patience and authenticity. They can easily sense when someone is approaching them purely for money, and nothing repels them faster. You have to be genuinely interested in who they are, what they value, and how you can contribute to their life. That means taking the time to listen more than you speak, to understand their goals, and to show that you are committed to adding value even before asking for anything in return. This is why networking in the right circles is essential. It's not about meeting as many people as possible. It's about creating meaningful interactions in spaces where the wealthy feel comfortable and respected. Exclusive clubs, high-level events, charity galas, and mastermind groups are all environments where authentic connections can be made without the pressure of immediate selling. When you build relationships with the wealthy, you position yourself as a trusted advisor rather than a salesperson. A trusted advisor is someone who provides guidance, who shares insights, and who is willing to help even when there is no direct benefit to them in the moment. Over time, this earns loyalty, and when the moment comes for them to make a purchase or investment, they will naturally turn to you because you have already established credibility. Think about the people rich individuals already buy from their lawyer, their doctor, their wealth manager. These are not random vendors. They are trusted advisors with whom they've built long-term relationships. If you want to sell at the highest levels, you need to move into that same category in their mind. Another key to building these relationships is consistency. Wealthy clients need to know that you will show up when you say you will, deliver what you promise, and maintain integrity in every interaction. One broken promise can destroy months or years of trust building. On the other hand, consistently keeping your word, providing value, and being present builds a foundation that no flashy sales pitch can replicate. This is why relationship building is a long game. You are not trying to close a deal in one meeting. You are laying the groundwork for opportunities that may arise months or even years down the line. Patience is part of the process because the wealthy are careful with whom they allow into their inner circle. Another aspect of relationship-based selling is understanding the importance of referrals and word of mouth in affluent circles. Rich people tend to trust the recommendations of other wealthy people far more than advertisements or promotions. If you do an outstanding job for one wealthy client, they are likely to introduce you to others in their network. And that is how your influence grows. One satisfied, affluent client can become the gateway to an entire community of high-value buyers, but this only happens when you have invested in building genuine trust, not chasing quick wins. Your reputation becomes your greatest marketing tool, and in exclusive circles, that reputation spreads faster than you can imagine. Relationship building also means knowing when not to sell. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is hold back, allow the relationship to deepen, and let the client come to you when the time is right. By doing this, you demonstrate that you are not desperate and that you respect their timing. This patience is rare, and because of that, it stands out. Wealthy individuals respect those who are confident enough in their value that they do not pressure or beg for business. They prefer to do business with people who make them feel comfortable, respected, and understood, not those who make them feel like targets. When you approach relationship building from this mindset, you move into a category where your presence is welcomed rather than avoided. The deeper the relationship you build, the less price becomes a factor. When someone trusts you, they no longer question what you charge because they believe in the quality and integrity behind it. The focus shifts from cost to confidence, from price to peace of mind. That is why building relationships is the foundation of selling to rich people. Without trust, no amount of persuasion will work. With trust, you can command higher prices, attract better clients, and create long-term partnerships that continue to grow in value over time. Shall I now expand Keynote No. 6 in the same 600-word motivational deep dive style so your full script sequence is complete? Wealthy people buy from people they respect, and that respect is often built through the strength of your personal brand. In today's world, your personal brand is more than just your logo or your website. It is the total impression you create in the minds of others about who you are, what you stand for, and why you are the authority they should trust. Rich clients are not simply looking for a product or service. They are looking for the best representation of expertise, credibility, and status. When your personal brand communicates excellence, authority, and confidence, you position yourself as the person the wealthy want to do business with because you embody the qualities they associate with success. Elevating your personal brand begins with how you present yourself. From the way you communicate to the way you dress, from your online presence to the energy you bring into a room, every detail matters. Wealthy individuals are highly attuned to signals of competence and credibility. If you carry yourself with authority, speak with clarity, and present yourself as someone who is already successful, you naturally draw them in. It is not about pretending to be something you are not. It is about amplifying your strengths, aligning your image with your expertise, and creating consistency across every touch point. Your personal brand should tell a story before you even open your mouth, and that story should reinforce that you are the trusted choice in your field. Another dimension of personal branding is authority. People with wealth gravitate toward recognized leaders because they want to work with the best. If you are seen as a thought leader, someone whose name carries weight in your industry, your value increases dramatically in their eyes. This is why many top earners invest in public speaking, publishing books, appearing on podcasts, and building strong online profiles. These platforms establish authority and make it easy for wealthy clients to perceive you as someone who has already been vetted by the world. Authority is magnetic because it reduces risk for the client. The rich want to know that when they choose you, they are choosing someone others already trust and respect. Credibility is another pillar of an elevated personal brand. Wealthy clients will always do their due diligence, and they will look for social proof that confirms your expertise. Testimonials, case studies, endorsements, and visible results become crucial tools in building your reputation. When your personal brand consistently showcases success stories, client transformations, and real outcomes, it signals to affluent buyers that you are not just making claims. You have a track record to back them up. The more credible your brand becomes, the easier it is for wealthy clients to justify investing in you at a premium level because they feel secure in the knowledge that you deliver on your promises. Your personal brand is also strengthened by exclusivity. Just as luxury products thrive on scarcity, so too does a strong brand. If you make yourself too available, you risk diluting your perceived value. But if you are selective with who you work with, if you create a sense that not everyone has access to your time and expertise, you elevate your status in the eyes of the wealthy. They respect what is rare and difficult to obtain. And when your personal brand communicates that you are not easily accessible, it makes them want to engage with you even more. Exclusivity in your brand builds desire, and desire is what fuels high-value sales. Another critical element is alignment. Your personal brand should align with the values and lifestyle of the wealthy. If you want to serve affluent clients, your image, communication, and presentation should resonate with their world. That does not mean you have to mimic their lifestyle, but it does mean that your brand should reflect excellence, sophistication, and ambition. The wealthy are more likely to respect someone whose brand mirrors the standards they hold for themselves. Every piece of content you share, every interaction you have, and every impression you leave should strengthen that alignment and reinforce the message that you are someone who operates at their level. Consistency is what ties it all together. A personal brand that fluctuates, that sends mixed signals, or that fails to deliver a cohesive impression loses trust quickly. The wealthy are used to dealing with professionals who are consistent in everything they do, and they expect the same from you. That means maintaining the same high standards across your work, your communication, and your presence, both online and offline. Consistency shows discipline, reliability, and authenticity, all of which deepen respect and create long-term trust. When your brand is consistent, it becomes easier for people to associate you with quality, and over time, you become the go-to authority in your field when you elevate your personal brand to the point where it radiates authority, credibility, exclusivity, and consistency. You no longer have to chase wealthy clients. They come to you. Instead of convincing them of your value, your brand does the heavy lifting. It communicates instantly that you are someone worth working with, someone who delivers results, and someone who embodies the qualities they admire. The stronger your personal brand, the higher your perceived value, and the more willing the affluent are to pay a premium to work with you, because they are not simply buying a product or service, they are buying the reputation, the identity, and the assurance that come with your name,